Good afternoon. This is Steve Campbell from Cornerstone Wealth Advisor Group in Fishersville, Virginia. I hope your day is going well. Hope your summer is going well. As I speak, we're almost in July. As the day I tape this, and probably by the time you see this, you'll be well into July, which means we are getting close to a presidential election. I don't know about you, but I would like to skip over August, September, and October and just get to the results of the election and be done with it. But I will tell you this, there's a lot of anxiety and a lot of difficult discussions and arguments among family members about who they're going to vote for and whatnot. And I want to talk about not letting headline news dictate your investment policy. Our last video we did a couple weeks ago, we talked about creating an investment policy statement. And an investment policy statement gives you rules to live by with your investments. Now, one of the rules that I would think would be a smart rule to put in place is 3 months before an election, you really don't want to go to cash in your portfolio, especially if you're 40 years old or 50 years old or 60 or 70 or 80 years old, because whenever you get out of the market, the older you are, hopefully you own some stocks and some bonds in your portfolio. Maybe you own some gold and other asset classes. But the problem with getting out of the market is most people get out of the market when they're scared to death or they've lost a lot of money. And they do that not for financial reasons. They do it so they can sleep at night. The problem, though, is that getting out is the first decision of a two-part decision. The next decision is, when do you get back in? So what if you got out this year and the S&P 500's at 5,000 and you're scared that if your candidate doesn't win, the world's going to go to hell in a handbasket, and you think that the S&P, you got out at 5,000, and you think if the other candidate wins, it's going to crash down to 4,000. But 2 weeks after the election, the S&P has gained 10% to 5,500. Well, it's probably going to be hard to get back in then. And one of the things I learned over the years, 47 years to be exact. This is a cliche. I will have to admit to this cliche, but it's not timing the market that matters. It's time in the market. And they're one of the investment companies that I did business with or have done business with for over 40 years used to have a publication called Louis the Loser. And in this publication, Louis the Loser he put $5,000 in the stock market every year for 20 years on the worst day of the year to have invested. Now, what's interesting is, what's the worst day of the year every year to invest? Well, it's when the market hits a high, because you're buying high. You know, two of the rules that investors are always told: buy low, sell high, and the others, be diversified. Well, Louis the Loser, for 20 years in a row, was just a poor investor in timing. And 20 years in a row, he made the purchase at the worst time. And then in this publication, they said, well, what if old Louis was lucky, and for 20 years in a row, he bought stocks at the best day of the year, 20 years in a row, which happens to be the day that the market hit its low for the year. Now, I can tell you this, you wouldn't call Louis a loser if he was able to do that. And you either got to be really lucky, and that's the only word I could use. You could not ever guess 20 years in a row and hit the very day of the year that the market hit its low. But what was interesting in this study is, if he had done that, if he had invested 20 years in a row at the high versus 20 years in a row at the low, his return wasn't that much difference. Hence the phrase, it's not timing the market that counts, it's time in the market. And I know a whole lot of people are going to be glued to their TV and their newspaper during the presidential election, which seems to kind of start at Labor Day. But as I am taping this, the first presidential debate is tonight. I guess we're at June the 27th or 28th. But anyway, people are going to be glued to this election this year. And I have people tell me all the time, this election will absolutely determine the future of the United States. And that might be the case. But there's no reason to get out of the market to try to help your investment account, because we cannot predict the future. And predicting the election results makes astrologers look really smart. Predicting the future of the stock market makes astrologers look reasonable. Instead, be diversified. In the world that I live in, for our clients, and most all of our clients are either 5 years away from retirement or they are retired. And so we tell people, because we cannot know the future, how about if you put a third of your money in a safe place for income that might last you 7 to 10 years? Then take a third of your money, put it into a portfolio basically, give or take 5 or 10%, half stocks and half bonds. We call that a conservative growth portfolio. And then money that you won't need for 15 or 20 years, that's the money you can put in the stock market. And you can have a long-term approach to that. Now, in the world we live, we like to see our clients own some gold in case things do go crazy. But once you have that portfolio in place, when it comes to things like this year's election, just don't worry about it. And that's the only word I can tell you is don't worry about it. And frankly, here's some more advice. And I'm giving you this advice. One finger is pointed to you, 3 fingers are pointed back to me. So I'm tempted to do this as well. But don't watch talk TV. It will drive you crazy. It'll either cause your hair to fall out or cause your hair to turn white and gray and all kinds of crazy colors. It might cause you to develop an ulcer. You might not be able to sleep at night. And let me just tell you, none of the major networks have your best interest at heart. Trust me when I say this. I'm a conservative Republican. Fox News does not have your best interest at heart. Newsmax doesn't have your best interest at heart. CNN does not have your best interest at heart. The only good thing we can say about CNN is no one's watching, so they can't hurt you too much, but don't you watch it. MSNBC, they don't have your best interest at heart. They're talking to their constituents, and they're telling you why the other guys should not ever be the president of the United States. And at the end of an evening of watching talk TV, you want to go out and hit somebody. That's not good either. You might get arrested. You might go to jail. And I'm telling you, watching talk TV will hurt your investment performance because you are likely to do something based out of too much emotion. So, you know what? Life was not meant to be this stressful. And I'm telling you, God is in control of my life. And but as a general rule for me this year, when we get into the election, I'll probably watch the debates. And I don't think there's going to be very many. I think there's 2 or 3 they're going to have. But let me just tell you, and it doesn't matter what is on the debate. I'm not going to change my vote anyway. And most people out there are pretty much dug in. If they're a Democrat, they're going to vote Democrat. And if they're a Republican, they're going to vote Republican. And it's the 5% in the middle that are independents that will probably sway the election. So do yourself a favor. One of the things we've started doing over the last year or two is we watch a lot of MyTV. Now, I love sports, so I like to watch NFL football, college football, baseball. I watch the Orioles and the Nationals. I love basketball. The Olympics are going to be played this year. So there's so many other things you can watch don't watch the talk TV. It will be detrimental to your emotional health, probably your physical health, probably your spiritual health. Jesus told us not to worry. In the book of Philippians, don't worry about anything, but pray about everything, and then give thanks. I will tell you, I am going to try my best this year to live by my words to you, and I'm going to try my best not to get hooked on talk TV, because I'm too old to get in a fight, and I'm too old to spend a night in jail, and there's too many other fun things to do. It's just, I can't tell you more. My TV, you can watch the Beverly Hillbillies, Green Acres. You can watch Hogan's Heroes late at night. There's so many fun things you can watch. In the morning, you get to watch Leave It to Beaver. Rosie and I have been watching Leave It to Beaver this week. She likes Wally more than the Beav. And Perry Mason, all those things. It takes me back to my younger days, and I love the nostalgia of watching those old shows. But don't get out of the market because of the election. Don't watch the talk TV. In retirement, your life should be a blessed life, not a stressed life. And you can do yourself a lot of favors by the choices you make with your TV watching this fall. So with all of that, have a great rest of the summer, and we'll be back to talk to you soon.
Content in this material is for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. All investing involves risk, including loss of principal. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. The opinions expressed in this material do not necessarily reflect the views of LPL Financial.